Hello everyone. In this video, we're going to see how we are going to configure various network services to start or stop automatically on boot. Not only we can start a service or stop a service, basically like we can able to restart a service also. So the terminology that actually refers like start or stop a network service refers to enable or disabling a network services automatically while booting an operating system. So in this video, I'm going to show you like how we are going to do this particular start a service or stop a service automatically on a boot using a Linux virtual machine. So for this, like I'm going to create a Linux virtual machine of 2023 MA type. Let me get into the session and create a virtual machine first. Then we'll continue with the experiment. As usual, like I have shared a similar kind of an manual with you all so that you can able to follow that manual while doing this particular experiment. So let me get into the session once again. Um, I'm going to share the screen and I'm going to create a virtual machine. Let me do that one first. So let me share the screen first so that you can able to see what exactly we are going to do in this one. Uh, Let me first minimize the screen. So as usual, like I'm going to open a browser now. Uh, and as you all got a Canvas login, right from the first experiment, like I was trying to explain like how we are going to use this Canvas login. You can type a Canvas login in the in the browser, and you get like a similar kind of this one, like a Canvas infrastructure. Not exactly this link. AWS Academy Canvas, uh, and as usual, like you need to give your username and password for this one. Let me log into this Canvas login of AWS. And like you need to go to the dashboard and you need to click this AWS Academy Learners Lab and come down. You'll get select models to start the course where you need to launch an Academy Learners Lab. Click this one, and in this you need to click this launch AWS Academy Learners Lab. So why we're doing all this thing is we need to create a virtual machine of Linux 2023 AMA type to do this particular experiment. I'm going to do that only first, and then like I'm going to proceed with the manual. This particular manual has been shared with you. Anyway, I'll try to keep that same manual in this YouTube link also. You can refer the same and you can do it parallelly. Let me start this AWS. Initially, as usually, like it is red in color. We need to start it. Once it gets started, it becomes yellow in color. So I need to click Start Lab. If you click Start Lab, it turns yellow. Once it's AWS is ready, it turns green. So it takes some time. So once the AWS is ready, it turns green. Until then, we have to wait. Now it's ready. You can click this particular AWS and you can go to the AWS Management Console easily. So in order to do this one, we need to create an EC2 instance, which is a virtual machine. So click on EC2. We are going to create an virtual machine of Linux 2023 AMA type. So you can see initially no instance was running. So I'm going to create one instance of Linux AMA like 2023 type. So click on this instance. you can click this launch instance. Then you can keep the same experiment name as configuring various network services automatically on boot. So I'm going to keep the same experiment name as my name for my virtual machine. So in this, like you have to create a virtual machine of this particular type called Amazon Linux AWS, which is already there. So you just leave it as it is. You should not go to Mac OS or Ubuntu or any other AMI. You have to use only this Amazon Linux 2023 AMI type. And that too, like it is a free tier as per the free tier eligible. Like you can use the same Amazon Linux. So I always prefer to use only this Amazon Linux 2023 AMI type. Keep in mind. And you should not go to any other type apart from the, even though like free tier eligible like Linux to AMI, that is hyper. You should not what do you say prefer this particular AMI type. Like you have to use only this Amazon Linux 2023 AMI type. Let us keep everything as by default, and the instance type is t2.micro, and you have to keep it as by default. And as we don't require any key pair for this particular experiment, hence we're not going to create any new key pair for this particular instance. We are going to keep that also as by default. And for all the network, I'm going to keep it as default. And the configuration also, I'm going to keep it as default, as the same default. It comes along with the instance. Then I'm going to click launch instance. It's saying like without proceed, you can give like proceed without key pair, and you can able to launch an instance. So creating a key pair is not mandatory for doing this particular experiment. So there are certain experiment which actually requires where you need to create a key pair for doing the experiment. But for this experiment, we not to create any key pair. That's why like proceed without key pair has been enabled. So now you can see an instance has been created, and click on this instance once again. You could see like one instance has been created with a name called configuring various network services to start a service or stop a service automatically on boot. So I'll show the name of this one, the same thing. And now the instance has been created, and it's in the state of running now. So now what I'll do is, yeah, now initially the instance was created and it is in the running state. Now enable this particular instance and go to the top corner where you can find an option called connect. Click on this connect, and then you could see like connect using EC2 instance connect. You just keep it as by default and come down. Then click on this connect. So you could see the virtual machine or the instance name called configuring various network services automatically on boot. So now you got this Linux terminal. You can start with this particular experiment now. If you have already a Linux which is Ubuntu Linux which is installed, or the Linux OS which is installed in your laptop, then directly like you can use the terminal and you can follow the manual and you can able to do it. Anyway, like I'm also going to use the same manual. Initially, like always, when you create a virtual machine of Linux AMI type, we need to check like whether it is up to date. So in order to check this thing, like we need to type a command called sudo yum update to check like whether all the dependencies required to run any command is up to date. So we need to check like you can check using this particular command called sudo yum update to check whether it is up to date or not. It's complete, like dependencies is nothing to do. If there is any update, it try to use update. So now like it's up to date, so it says like nothing to do with this. So complete. Hence, like we're going to start with this experiment now. As usual, a similar kind of a document like lab manual document has been shared with you. I'm going to use the same document for this particular experiment. So I'll show you this particular document. The same kind of document is being shared with you already. So the first command, what you're going to type in this one is, we are going to type this particular command called ps-pid1. Either you can copy or directly, like you can type in this one, or you can paste it. If you want to paste it, you have to copy and you have to press Control Shift V. So now you could see like the first command. This is the initial step. We need to start with this, where you'll be finding a space after PID 1. So now that space should be avoided. So initially we'll try out with this PS-PID 1. Okay, so it says like unknown thing. So the correct command is like PS-PID space 1 only. So I'm going to copy that particular command and I'm going to paste it here. If you give 1, like it says like that particular command option is not exist, so it shows an error message. So now you could see like after giving this particular command called PS-PID 1, you need to check like what kind of system manager this virtual machine is having. So same kind of command, like the same PS-PID space 1 can be used in your Linux terminal also. If you have an dual operating system, or you have a Linux machine, then there are two type of what is a system manager your operating system might be supporting. One is the system D based system, another one is the system V init based system. The one is the MD based system, other one is the init based system. So now, like after typing this command, we need to check like what kind of system manager that our virtual machine or the local machine is having. So now you could see like after giving this particular command, so what is the system manager my system is having? It is MD based system. So in case if it is init based system, you have to follow that init based system thing commands. So I have clearly given the steps like how to execute all these things. So initially, since my system manager is based on MD based, so now I'm going to follow with this system based commands. So this is the command like steps to like systemctl enable service. So before going to this particular command, we need to check like what are the various network services that is disabled or enabled. So for this, like I have to check with this particular step 4. So we need to skip this steps 2 and step 3. After typing the step 1, like directly you need to go for step 4. So initially, what I'm going to do is, so based on the system manager, so I'm going to use this particular what is a command called sudo systemctl system file state is equal to disabled. So I'm going to check what are the various network services which is disabled, and I'm going to enable that one. In case your system manager is based on init base, then you have to use the command called sudo systemctl list unit file hyphen state is equal to enabled. Okay, if the list of service enabled. So in case like it is init based na, you have to use for disabling for use. If you want to check for the disabled network services, then you have to use sudo check config hyphen list. In case that is your system manager is init based one. In case if it is MD based, then you have to copy this command and you have to paste it here. This is for disabled. And for checking whether what are the service enabled now, so just you have to replace the disabled with the enabled. So this command will be based on that init based system, and the above command will be based on MD based thing. So I'm since my system is MD based, I'm going to copy this command to check what are the various network services that is disabled. So I'm going to press Control Shift V here. I'm going to check like what are the various network services that is disabled. So you could able to see the various network services that is available on my system, in which it got disabled. So you can see the state called disabled. So now we are going to take what is any one particular service. For example, I'm going to take this particular service called acpid.service, and since it is disabled, I'm going to enable this particular service. So how to enable this particular service is go to the step 2, and you have to copy this particular command called systemctl enable service. So copy this command and In order to come out from this one, you can give control X. So you can give like control Z and you can come out of the terminal. And now I'm going to copy that command called sudo systemctl enable service. So this is the step 2. Now you have to replace this service with the service name. So the service what I'm going to enable is you can see a service called ACPID service at the top. I'm going to enable that particular because this particular network service has been disabled now. I'm going to enable it. In case like if you want to disable it, since already it's disabled, after enabling, you can disable the same service once again by using the same command called sudo systemctl disable the service name ACPID service. So I'm going to use this systemctl, maybe system in front of systemctl. I have to use the sudo since it is a super user. So if you directly give, if you are using local machine, then you know, if you're going to, you not to give that sudo directly, you can give sudo systemctl. Okay, directly you can give systemctl enable then service enable. You can the service name what I'm going to enable is ACPID dot service. Maybe like directly you can try with the systemctl itself. Systemctl. Maybe yes, maybe capital or I will try with that one. Systemctl enable ACPID dot service. So the thing is sudo, the correct command is correct, but I have used S as caps, so it is not working. So now as usual sudo systemctl enable service name is ACPID dot service. So now you need to check like now it has been enabled. Like initially you could see the particular service got disabled. I'll show you. I'll take you to that particular corner. Power button is not working properly. Okay, anyhow, initially that ACPID service was disabled. So now we are going to check like whether that particular service ACPID dot service was enabled or not. So how to check that particular ACPID service is enabled or not is so we need to copy the same command like sudo systemctl list unit file state is equal to disabled. So we need to instead of that disabled we are going to check what is give enabled. So since we have enabled that particular service, I am going to replace this disabled with enabled. After giving this one, initially you could see like the same ACPID dot service. ACPID, you can see like ACPID service. The ACPID service was disabled earlier. Initially it was disabled. Now like we have enabled this particular service using the command called sudo systemctl enable service name, where the service name is the ACPID service. Now you could see the state has been changed from disabled to enable. Similarly, like you can able to disable it once again. Like if it is enabled, we can able to disable it by using sudo systemctl disable service name. Okay, so since we have used enable, now we are going to use, I'm going to disable it. Now you could see the state as enable. Now I'm going to disable it once again. Using control Z, you can come out. So now instead of this particular command, like sudo systemctl enable ACPID service, you can now you can able to replace that with the disable. Can use disable. Could see like now after giving this one disable, then you can use a earlier command what I used, sudo systemctl list unit files state is equal to disabled. The same command already I used earlier, so I'm going to use the arrow keys and I'm going to use the same command. Now we need to check like now it is enabled. Now we are going to disable it. Okay, so now we have disabled using the command called sudo systemctl disable ACPID service. Now we are going to check whether that particular service is disabled or not. Okay, initially it was what is a disabled, then we are enabled. Once again, like we are going to disable it. Okay, so that's why like I'm going to use this particular command sudo system disable the service name, and to check whether it is disabled or not, you can use this command like sudo systemctl list unit file state is equal to disabled. And if you give this one, now you could see like ACPID service got disabled. Preset what disabled, now it is disabled. So similarly, like you can take any network service and you can able to uh, what is a disable or you can enable. That is basically a start or stop kind of thing. That is enabling or disabling. Enabling is similar to that of starting a service, and disabling is something like stopping a service. Now the second part in this particular experiment is so you could see like a certain if you want to install a new network services which is not available in your system, say an example, a network services called HTTPD is not there like in this particular. So if you could see, you can scroll up or down. You can use the arrow keys instead. These arrows are not working properly anyhow. um you can as you can see like the list of network services which is there in front of you cannot find a particular service called HTTPD. Okay, this is one of an example of network services, but you cannot see these network services installed in your uh, particular virtual machine or a local machine. So how to install the network services which is not available in your virtual machine or the local machine? So in a local machine, like I'm going to since I'm using a virtual machine, I'll tell you like how I'm going to use this particular command to install a services which is not available in your system. Um, if you're going to use your virtual machine, then you have to use this particular command called sudo yum install. Uh, top type it wrongly. Sudo system sudo yum install httpd. And if you're going to use your local machine, and you can directly, instead of using yum command, you can directly use a command called sudo install httpd. So now like it's asking whether to install this particular service called httpd or not. I'm going to say like I'm going to give yes, so press y. So it says like it is download size is 2.3 MB. You need to say yes or no. I'm going to give yes, so press y and press enter, and it takes some time to download that particular 2.3 MB file and to install that particular service. So now you can use the command like you can go to the manual, and already I have installed the service called HTTPD. You can see the same thing in the manual also. The same thing has been told, and now the service has been not available, but you have installed using the command called sudo yum install httpd that already I showed you. And now we are going to use this particular command called sudo service, the service name and the status of this particular service. I'm going to copy and paste it. Sudo service, the service name is HTTPD, and I'm going to check the status of this particular service which is installed currently. So now this particular service has been disabled. The current state of this particular service, what we installed is disabled it. How to enable this particular service? Sudo system CTL enable the service name. Service name is HTTPD. Okay. Now, initially, after installing this particular service, we check the status of this particular service by using sudo service, the service name and the status. It was disabled. Now we have enabled using the command called sudo systemctl enable HTTPD. So how to check like whether it is enabled or not is by using this sudo systemctl list unit file, which is enabled. So it is disabled. Now, like you could see, like sudo systemctl list unit file state is equal to enabled. So press OK, and now you could see a service HTTPD. You can see here the HTTPD service here, and initially it was disabled, as you could see on the right hand side. So now we have enabled this particular service. Likewise, you could able to disable or enable any service, or even like you can able to install a new network services which is not available in a system also. So thank you for watching this video, and I'll be sharing this particular same document in the WhatsApp description also. You can use this document and you can able to complete the experiment. Thank you all for watching the video.